All right, it's time for some internet drama. So, a recent topic that I've come across online is this movement called Stop Killing Games. And from my understanding, the movement aims to essentially force developers to provide a end-of-life strategy for games. So essentially, if you have always online single-player games or multiplayer games, then whenever those online services related to the games are at their end of support, then the company, the developer of the game needs to essentially change the game so that people can still play it without this online support. And the person who is, I guess, spearheading this movement is the YouTuber Accursed Farms, also known as Ross. If you've ever watched the Freeman's Mind series way back, then he's the creator of that. And in the other side of the drama, we have a YouTuber called Pirate Software. Now, Pirate Software has been very, very critical about this movement. He doesn't think that it makes sense. And one of his big arguments against the movement is that changing the technical changes needed in order to support a game after its end of online services is a significant hurdle for the game development company. And I kind of wanted to touch that a little bit in this video. Is that really a complex challenge? Well, the answer is yes and no. At some point, Pirate Software has interpreted the Stop Killing Games movement as demanding game developers to turn multiplayer games into single-player games when their end of online support occurs. And to my knowledge, that's not really what Stop Killing Games demands. The demand is more of providing the community the means to actually run those multiplayer servers on their own. So it's not that we want to make multiplayer games into single-player games, but to actually just provide the means to run the multiplayer server by the community themselves. And that is much more doable compared to turning multiplayer games into single-player games, because that would be a significant challenge. But just providing the means to run the multiplayer servers isn't that big of a deal. But there is some technical challenges there as well. So from my experience in the world of game development, if you have a multiplayer game, the technical, like the server architecture, looks something like this. This is a very crude simplification of what it looks like, but this is, I suppose, an approximation of it. So first off, we have clients, which are, of course, the players with their game clients who are connecting to the servers. And then we have the game servers, which are essentially managing the game sessions. So if you have something like, let's say, Counter-Strike, and you're joining into a game in Counter-Strike, then this is where the game is simulated in the game server. And then we have this centralized backend system somewhere, which essentially stores things like player statistics, and then it might also have some matchmaking functionality and things like that. So this backend part is generally quite centralized. It might have some region-based decentralization happening in the infrastructure, and then the game servers are a lot more decentralized. So you have essentially multiple, could be even hundreds of these game servers in a single region. And so when a multiplayer game reaches end of life, essentially what happens is that the game server and the backend systems are shut down, because these are servers that the game developer is running, and that costs money. So there are ongoing costs of maintaining the multiplayer service. So when it reaches end of life, they want to shut down these servers to save money. So essentially what the Stop Killing Games movement would demand from game developers is to provide the binaries of the game server and the backend in a way that the players who have purchased the game can run on their own. And that doesn't even require the game developer to open source these projects at all. They just need to provide the binaries in a format that can be run by anyone. Now, it might be that there are some like security related systems based on authentication and whatnot, and then there might be also some interconnected systems. This backend system might be connected into some kind of larger system that the game developer has for maybe all of their games that they are running online or something like that. So there are some changes that the game developer would need to do to these services before they can provide it for the community to run on their own. But the technical challenges of doing that aren't really so insurmountable that it would make this movement completely stupid or whatever. They are completely doable, especially by like big studios. They can easily do it. Now, I suppose there are some questions of interpretation for how easy should it be for the owners of the game to set up these servers on their own, because usually servers aren't built to make it easy for like end users to start up and use. They inherently usually require more technical skills to actually understand and run. For example, if you've ever run dedicated servers of source games or whatever, it's a little bit different than just running the game itself. It requires a bit more technical expertise to do that, and that would certainly be the case also in here if a company just released these backend systems for anyone to run. That would still require the person who wants to run these systems to have some level of technical expertise. And but yeah, the Pirate Software is not completely wrong. There are some technical challenges there. There might even be some that is somewhat significant, but they are far from insurmountable, at least for AA or AAA studios. And so yeah, that's my take on all of this drama. So I suppose I am in support of Stop Killing Games. It doesn't seem that the EU petition is doing very well, which is unfortunate, because I would like to see some kind of regulatory change happening, not just for games but for all digital media altogether. This kind of environment that has happened with the rise of the internet, that you are basically buying software that you don't even own, and you're buying even if you are buying movies or TV shows, you don't own them, you just have a license to use them, and the license provider can take away that license pretty much whenever they want. And I don't think that's an acceptable regulatory environment. But yeah, I think like Pirate Software had a point, but his reaction to this movement was just like overblown, and it's like way too harsh towards it. So yeah, that's why my take. I kind of wanted to briefly discuss about the technical side of this. I don't really want to become a drama channel. I'm not interested in that, but I do want to discuss about things that I find to be of particular interest to me. So this was one of them. But yeah, hopefully we can eventually get some regulatory change regarding to digital ownership, because the current way that things are, it's very anti-consumer at this moment. So hopefully things will change in the future.